Hey guys, welcome. It's Rufi Star. Today we're gonna speculate the Strawhats bounties after Wano or post Wano. Currently, we are closing to the raid on Onigashima itself as of chapter 975. We saw every Straw Hats after so long in this chapter. In fact, the last we saw them together was, I guess, chapter 701. Anyways, it's gonna be absolutely insane when the actual fight begins. So, why not speculate what bounties Straw Hats are gonna have after Wano? Now, before we begin the video, do remember this is just my assumption, simply meaning it's just my opinion. I'm in no way applying that these are gonna be their official bounties after Wano. Also, do subscribe and like the video. It does help me a lot. Don't forget to hit the all notification bell to get notified because nowadays the YouTube algorithms has been weird. Also, with this ongoing coronavirus, lots of people are getting infected and lots of people are terrified. That's why I wish for all you guys safety. Wash your hands properly for at least 20 seconds. Stay clean, stay safe, and stay home. So with that aside, let's start the prediction of Straw Hats bounties after Wano. At first, let's talk about Nami. Now, when it comes to Nami, there's not much to discuss here. She's really not a fighter, and I don't know what matchups will Oda give her. I personally think she might fight one of the Big Mom's daughter, but hey, who knows? But yeah, I'm also excited to see what's gonna happen with Juice. So, as this is gonna be a big war, I think she's also gonna have quite an increment than her previous bounty. My guess would be she's gonna have an increment of 200 million bellies. Meaning her new bounty after Wano is gonna be 266 million bellies. Next one is the cutest of all, Tony Chopper. So as we all know, Chopper always has this gag bounty. His first ever bounty was 50 and it increased to 100. So now all of you guys might say that Oda's going to play this gag for a bit more even after Wano. But personally, I don't think so. I think this bounty troll for Chopper is finally going to end after Wano. And I also think that Chopper's going to play a very important role when it comes to the medical department. Personally, I think he's going to come up with a medicinal solution to cure the smile users. This certainly cannot stay like that forever, right? I think this action of Chopper is going to break the cycle of people recognizing him as a pet of Straw Hats and start to truly view him as a very talented doctor who is a real threat from the Straw Hats to the government. So I think because of this recognition that he will get after Wano, his bounty will be completely reevaluated, making his new bounty after Wano a quite good number, I guess, of 200 million bellies. Next one is Brooke. The rockstar of Strawhat's crew, Brooke, seems to be one of the few dependable fighters. He is also the only one after Zoro who uses a sword as his primary weapon in the crew. The name of his sword is called Soul Solid and it has a very interesting ability to freeze, which is made possible by using his Devil Fruit abilities, of course. Now, when it comes to fighting, it's hard to predict who Brooke will be fighting against. But I think his bounty is going to spike up a lot than his previous one. So having a clear consideration of the impact of the war, I assume Brooke's bounty will be going up by at least 200 million bellies. Thus, I assume that his new bounty will be 283 million bellies. Next one is Frankie. Frankie, as we know, is a pretty good fighter. He has lots of quirky inventions which he can use in his fights. I think the most notable one being the General Frankie. He has, I think, used it like 2 times or something like that. And it seems pretty good, right? So I'm really hoping that Frankie gets a fight against a number or a Flying Six member. I think that would be a very great idea. And it would really be a great thing to see. So now let's come to his bounty part. Like I said previously with Brooke, Nami, and Chopper, I think Frank is also gonna have quite a big increment than his previous bounty. I think 94 million for Frankie for now is pretty low for what he is. So I think after Wano, because he's the shipwright of the Strawhat ship Sunny, and I know for sure that he's gonna play quite a role in the war. So seeing all these things and considering all these possibilities, I assume that Frankie's bounty is gonna go up by at least 300 million bellies, meaning making his new bounty 394 million bellies. Next one is Usopp. After Dressrosa, Usopp had a surprisingly high bounty of 200 million bellies. But considering how much of a legend he is, that was to be expected, right? But no, jokes aside, I think in this upcoming war, Usopp might be fighting a member of Toby Roppo. Yeah, of course, I don't think he's gonna have a solo fight. He's probably gonna tag him with one of the Nine Scabbards. Still, it's gonna be very interesting to see how the fight will actually go. Now coming to his bounty part, I think he's gonna have a solid increment of at least 300 million bellies. Meaning his new bounty after Wano, I assume, is gonna be 500 million bellies. Next one is Robin. Robin, in a sense, is kind of an ace card for the Straw Hats to reach Drafted. Her knowledge of deciphering the poneglyphs is truly terrifying fact for the government. But let's dive into a different aspect. Aside from that, I think Robin has very useful and fairly strong devil fruit. Sadly, we haven't seen her do much after the time skip. So I also am hoping for Robin to get her own moment in the war. I would also love to find out if she has Haki or not, because she was working with revolutionary armies for 2 years. Now, coming to her bounty after Wano, I think, of course, the main factor that will make it rise significantly is the fact that she can decipher the poneglyphs. So, taking that and the possible future into consideration, I think she will have a bounty increment of 500 million bellies, making her new bounty after Wano a big amount of 630 million bellies. Now, for some of you, this might be too low for Robin. And you guys might say that it should be at least 1 billion because she is really important. And I definitely see that happening. But for now, I think 500 million increment for her seems pretty good in my opinion at least. Next one is Jin BAE. Jin BAE, as we already know, has an active bounty of 438 million bellies. He was said to have over 400 million bellies, I guess it was Fishman Island. And the figure was exactly revealed in the Vivrekar Databook Volume 4. Now we also know that Jin BAE is the 4th strongest of the crew, and for the time being we really don't know where he is or what happened to him, but I'm definitely sure that he will show up at some point in the raid. Now when it comes to the matchup, it's really hard to predict who he will be fighting, but in my opinion his major fight might be someone from Big Mom Pirates. So after thinking how important this war in terms of its scale is, the role he might play moving forward, and being recognized as a Straw Hat, I predict that his bounty will go up by 300 million bellies, which means his new bounty after Wano will be 738 million bellies. Next one is Sanji. Now, I think it gets exciting when it comes to the monster trio. Everyone is expecting great things from them, especially from Zoro and Sanji. They both got power-ups and we are hoping that they will be fighting the All-Star, or simply to put, the commanders of Beast Pirates. Now in case of Sanji, he has the raid suit as a power-up, and we saw what he was capable of doing to PS1. And his likely big opponent is going to be Queen. As we also know, Queen is the second commander who posts a very high bounty of 1,320,000,000 bellies, and Sanji is possibly the one to finish him off. So now the question stands. Will Sanji's bounty get over 1.4 billion because he's gonna defeat Queen? In my opinion, no. Now to explain it better, here's the thing we need to understand. This is an all-out war, meaning there's a huge possibility that many different characters will be clashing with each other. Maybe they will be having initial battles with each other, or they might also have tag team matches. So for now, it's hard to say that Sanji will be fighting Queen solo or just by himself from beginning to the end. Don't get me wrong here, as much as I want that to happen, there's still that uncertainty because it's a war. But I do think that the one with biggest contribution to defeat Queen is going to be Sanji. Or simply, he's going to be the main force behind Queen's defeat. So, what's the prediction in terms of his new bounty after Wano? I think it's gonna cross 1 billion for sure, seeing the scale of this war and his role. Now, simply summing it up, I think Sanji's new bounty after Wano will be a staggering amount of 1,030,000,000 bellies. Next one is obviously Zoro. Now coming to Zoro, as previously said, we are hoping to get a lot from him in this arc. He has few matchups that fans have paired him up with, like him versus Orochi, Smoothie, King, and even Kaido. Many people in the fandom, including me, believe that he's from Wano, or simply saying that his origin is from Wano. So we're expecting kind of more from Zoro especially. So now let's come to the matchups. I think the biggest opponent for Zoro will be King, except if he doesn't join Luffy to fight Kaido. King seems to be the second strongest and the first commander of the Beast Pirates. His fellow comrade Queen has a high bounty, so we are expecting his bounty to be higher. Also, in the pre-time skip era, Luffy was usually the one to take out the strongest, Zoro the second strongest, and Sanji the third strongest. So I think these matchups in Wano make sense. But of course, as applied to Sanji, I'm not certain that he's going to have 1v1 fight with King from beginning to the end. So my assumption of Zoro's bounty is going to be a mammoth 1,170,000,000 bellies. I think this is fine number for him now, and it is also higher than Sanji, so it will be a funny exchange between them. Now for many people this might be too low for both Zoro and Sanji, but for now I think this is pretty good for both of them. Also this again is just my assumption, so who knows, Zoro and Sanji might have a higher bounty, we never know. Finally, the one and only, the captain of the Strawhat Pirates and the man who will be the future Pirate King, Monkey D. Luffy. Now when it comes to Luffy, his goal is plain and straight in Wano. He wants to take down Kaido. And as always for him, the reason to defeat Kaido has gone higher because of some obvious reasons. Also pretty much everyone knows that Luffy is going to be one of the biggest player out of this fight. So what's going to be his bounty after Wano? As we know, Luffy has already insanely high bounty of 1.5 billion. This is high enough for Morgans to call him the 5th Emperor. Of course, it's not just because of it, but it is definitely one of the biggest reasons for him to being called as the 5th Emperor. And in this arc, he's defeating one Yonko, Kaido, and also possibly be fighting two Yonkos. But because it's going to be a team effort between Luffy, Kid and Law and possibly other allies, I think Luffy's bounty will only be doubled, meaning his new bounty after Wano is going to be 3 billion bellies. Now for some people this might be too high as it surpasses Blackbeard's bounty and it boils down to his not having that much increment. But we also need to understand that Luffy is aiming for something Blackbeard is not currently. So I think for Luffy to have a bounty of 3 billion after Wano is absolutely fine. And I also do think that Blackbeard's bounty will also increase by the end of Wano, right? So there's the prediction of Straw Hat's bounties after Wano. I hope you guys liked it. I will also be putting their posters all together so it's easy to see at the end. Now, if you guys have different predictions regarding the Strawhats bounties, please comment down below. I would love to know what's your prediction on it. Now, I'm also going to do the bounty prediction of supernovas soon. So if you guys are excited for that, do leave a like in this video. Lastly, thank you for watching this video and stay tuned.